Morning, Kumlana Balkimoda. Today's daf is daf Pei Zayin Amid Aleph. So we had a machlekes of Yechonish Lakish how to understand our Mishnah, and we said over there that if you have a number of people sharing a get, there's a difference whether it's a klal or whether it's teifus. Klal, it's a valid get, and teifus is not a valid get. Rabbi Yechonah said that klal is that they're all written on the same date. And teifus means that each pair, each couple that written in that get has a different date on it. And the Shlaki says even they all have the same date, it's still possible to be a teifus. So what's the difference in a klal and a teifus? When do we say it's a valid get? So he says if you bunch together all the people, you say, I, Reuben, Shimon, Levi, Yehudi, Yisachar, are going to divorce and all these different women, then it's like one get. Otherwise, if it's just couple by couple, we will say that the Eidim are only supporting or only signing to the very last couple that's near the bottom of the page. and Rabbi Yechon, why does he say that even if it's couple by couple is good enough? Because he says if you have the conjunctive and the, it's you can read it, you can see clearly that it's all connected, just like when you say when you say hello and the agent sign on the bottom, if it's also and regards, then they're signing on the whole thing. Okay. We're up to the Gemara over here. It's about 5 lines above the wide lines. So that's how we explain Rabbi Yechon. And they're all the same date and not different dates, because the different dates and we have a problem that you wrote one day and the Adam signed later time. So all the names on that thing are all written on the same date, but each one it says the date, it repeats the date again, b'chad b'shab, and so on. Says the Gemara, let's understand the Shlaki. The Amar, he says Zman echad l'kulan, that they're all dated the same date, yet it's possible to be considered teifus. It's still teifus. Why? Because each couple is separate, so only the very last couple has a supporting aid. So let me ask you a question. The heichidami klal. So according to the Shlokish, what's considered klal? Because it's written when you name all the names of the chassan, then you name all the of the man, then you name all the names of the wife, and that's called a klal. They're unplaning, so therefore the Eidim, when they sign, they're signing on the contents of the get. Pliny, Girashnu, Neshasenu, Pliny, all of these men are divorcing their wives, Pliny, comes out, Nimtu, Shtei Noshim, Bezgashas, Beget Echad. So you have one document, because they're all bunched together. You have one document for everybody. And what's wrong with that? But Torah Amra, the cost of law has to be very personal. Each one has to have their own separate, relationship that you're severing. Because it says that Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda is divorcing Leah, Rachel, and so on and so forth. Sorry? Yeah, but the problem is not the Gerash. The problem is all the names are together. So yeah, but it's all together. It has to be a very personal, because of law, the law of Chavata. You can't include anybody else in your get. Says Gemara, this is what you do. According to the Shlok, the klal means first you bunch everybody together. So when we know that the contents of this get is covering everybody, so when the agent signed the bottom, they're signing on behalf of everybody, and then you delineate each couple separately. So each one has their own get. But how do we know that the agent is signing not just for the last couple, but for all the couples in the get? Because your intro, it says that the following people are divorcing their wives, and then you list each one individually. The Hadakasa Pliny, Gita is Plinish, the Pliny Gita is Plinish. That's what Kornish Lakish. Tanya, how is it any different? So you're telling me that you can't have a bunch of people on one get. How's it any different? And the Tanya we learned, we know that we learned get Shechar Evet similar to my wife. And it says if somebody writes all of his assets he's giving over to his 2 slaves. Now slaves are also assets. So what's the din over there? You say you put them both, and it sounds like you put them both in the same document, and you say that all my assets belong to both of you. So what happens is each one owns half of himself and half of the other person, and then each one has to in turn to set free the half that he owns of the other person, and then each one walks away 50% of the assets. But they're both in the same document. You just said you can't have 2 names in the same document, and you have to give a whole way. First you have a call, then you have a prat. Someone answers, who said that's all documents in the same document? He gave one start at the same time. He had to give them at the same time. If he gave one to one first, he was cutting everything already. It's too late. He gave them to both Avadim at the same time, and therefore each one ended up owning half of the other Evid. Tanya was Rabbi Yechon Chamisha. They get 5 people, and they get each Pliny. Pliny went each 5 couples. But you see, it's always and. This is my one date. The Eidim matter. Cooling chain. The Eidim are signing on behalf of the whole document. He give each one they're divorced. You take the get, give it to one, then you take it and give it to the next one, so on. What about Zman l'cholecha v'echad? Each one has a different date. Ve'edi melamata eshe'edin yikrayim imekosher. Only the very last couple that's on the bottom, they're the ones that the edim are signing for, not the rest. Rabbi Yehuda says, im yesh revach beinein, if there's a gap between the signature of the edim, then possible, then it is possible. However, v'imlav kosher. And if not, it is kosher. The date is not a problem. It's only those gaps between the couples. If the dates, if there are different dates, that's not a problem. The Eidim are signing for everybody. If there are gaps, that means that the Eidim were not there or not present, whatever it is. It divides, that separates the different. It's like different documents. We're the Eidim for that part of that document. Okay, so he's only worried about the Zevach. Tanya Kavasa de Reish Lakish. We also learned. Like Reish Lakish, Chamisha got the club that again they wrote a cloud on the plane. You plane first to give an introduction. All of us get Ashton the same to planes and planes. Then you delineate each one. Plane English, planes, plane English, planes, and Manechel Kulam. One date for everybody. But Eidim Lamata then Kulam shading. It's only if you gave the summary in the beginning, then it's all kosher. Zman lecholech each one has a different date. The revach and each one is, and there's a gap. The edim amata as edim nikranim kosher. Only the last couple that the edim are there is kosher. Is kosher. The mayor says, the mayor says the gap I don't need. It's the dates. Apostle shazman mafsikin. The dates is if you have a date for each one, then each was like a separate document, and you only have edim on the very last document. But Reish Lakish, according to Reish Lakish, why do you have to have? Why? Remember, Reish Lakish said before that even if you have the same date, if you don't have that intro, that summary in the beginning, it's possible you only the very last name. So why does the Braisa have to say that each one has a different date? And that's the reason for the Pasul. My year is Reish Lakish said that even you have the same date, but if you don't have that introduction where all these men are you only have each couple by couple will say that the Edom are only signing the very last couple. So why do we need separate dates? So you're right. If you what do you call it? You made a summary, then the get is kosher, unless you wrote a different date for each individual couple. But even though you made a summary in the beginning, the intro, the preamble. But if then you made a separate date for each one, it passes the style, and that's what the Braisa is talking about. But if you did not make that summary, then even if it's all on the same date, it's not good. It's not good. We'll say the Edom are only signing the last one. Over here, you made that preamble, the correct preamble. So then, if it's then it's be a kosherish get, unless he follows man, then in Eloi. That if you divide his money, that's when the get becomes possible, and only the very last get in the signature is good. Okay. Now, when we sign a get, you can sign your name. You can say Reuven ben Shimon. You can say Reuven Aid, and you can say Ben Shimon Aid. Three ways. And you can, when you say Reuven ben Shimon, you don't have to add the word Aid. Now, by us, when we say Reuven ben Shimon, it means Reuven, the son of Shimon. But by the Greeks, when you say Reuven ben Shimon, it actually means that Shimon is the son of Reuven. Reuven is the father. Ben, who is his son, Shimon. So what happens if we have an Israeli guy and a Greek guy signing together underneath each other? They're not right. So Reuven ben Shimon, another guy is Reuven ben Shimon, but this guy is really Reuven, and the other guy really is Shimon. Now here the problem is going to be that you have two a git with two columns, and the names straddle both columns. So this person signed his name on the right column. The Hebrew guy, Reuven, is under the right column, and Shimon ends up being, Ben Shimon ends up being on the left column. So when he writes Reuven ben Shimon, Reuven is underneath the right column. But the Greek guy, when he signs Reuven ben Shimon, his name is actually under the left column. So we don't have two witnesses for each column. So what happens?
Each column is just a continuation of the text.
Yeah. So what? Yeah. So the Gemara is like this. Today is the Mishnah. Quite complicated. You have to visualize this. Yeah, we have a little picture here actually, if that helps. If they made it a little bit more colorful, it might have been helpful. Shnei Gittin, two Gittin, shekosra zeh b'tzad zeh, that were written side by side.
So it's two separate Gittin.
Yeah, there are two separate Gittin written side by side, right side by side, and they so here Shnei Gittin shekosra zeh b'tzad zeh, v'shnayim edim ivrim, two Jewish, what do you call it? Israelis are signing by metachazeh letachazeh. So they sign Reuven ben Shimon and Shimon ben Levi, right? So the Reuven is on the right side and ben Shimon on the left side. Vishnayim Eidim Yevonim, and then you have two Greek Eidim, Boyim metachazeh letachazeh. They are writing also Reuven ben Shimon, but their name is the other side, right? So what do you call it? So the one that the first Eidim, the first two were Israelis and the second two were Greeks. So the first two, that get is kosher. That get is kosher. The one on the left, so the one on the right has the names of the Eidim. The ones on the left, the name of the father, no good. The Greeks, if they wrote this, what do you call it? From their side, the left side, and they wrote like the right side, so all you have is names on the right. You don't have any names on the left. If they wrote Reuven ben Shimon is starting from the left to the right, then really their name is Shimon as well. So they're only endorsing the get on the right side.
You just have Jewish Israelis, so and you got two Gittin. And what you got Reuven under one text, one part of the text, and Ben Shimon under the second.
That's what we're talking about. Yeah,
that's kosher.
We'll see in a minute. I'm going to delineate here exactly how it works. Because remember, there are three different options of signing. You can sign Reuven ben Shimon, that's a signature. Reuven Aid, that's a signature, your full name, or Ben Shimon Aid, that's a full name. Okay. So if you look at the picture over here, you see Reuven ben Yaakov Ivri. You look in the picture in the box in Rashi here. So you have Reuven ben Yaakov Ivri, right? And then you have a Greek underneath him, where it says this is the next part of the Mishnah, but I just want to show you how it works. The next part of the Mishnah is that the Greek guy signed Yosef, but it was the end of the line, Ben Shimon. So really, his name is directly under the name of the Israeli, but he started from the end of the line because that's his father. Yosef, remember, according to the Greeks, Yosef, the first name is the father, but he has under him Ben Shimon. Okay, and then you have the Israeli guy starts directly under the Greek, so he has Kahos Ivri ben Levi. So Kahos now is his name, so he's on signing on the left side, and then you have Yecheskel ben Naftali Yevoni, which really is again the left side. So you have two endorsing. So it says the Mishnah further. What we just said, what we just saw is the second half of the Mishnah. You have a Hebrew, Israeli guy, and then you have a Greek guy. Then you have another Israeli guy and another Greek guy. Sorry? Is it? That's the first part of the Mishnah.
Picture.
Yeah. Interesting. So who made these pictures?
It's totally different. It's totally different.
Very sorry for confusing you. So who made? Obviously, Rashi didn't make these pictures. So
Because I have
they're both puzzle. They're both puzzle. You would think, why they're both puzzle? So we're seeing the names work in the second half of the mission. The names work out just right. Why they puzzle? We'll see in a minute. Says the Gemara, the Lizkasha, okay, in the first part of the Mishnah, when the guy says Reuven, let's say Ben Yaakov, both parts of the get. Remember, there's different ways of signing. One way of signing is Reuven Aid. One way of signing is Ben Yaakov Aid, and one way of signing is Reuven Ben Yaakov. So if you wrote Reuven on the one side and then Ben Yaakov on the other side, both sides should have your signature. This should be Reuven, this should be Ben Yaakov. So why do you say only the right side is kosher, only where the person's name is there? Let the right side be kosher as Reuven, and the left side be kosher because it ends on saying Ben Yaakov Aid. The Tanan, we learned later on, Ben Ish Ploini Aid kosher. If all you write is Ben Yaakov, Aid is kosher. So Gemara says the kosher Reuven ben Akama. Who told you that Reuven was on the right side and Ben Yaakov was on the left side? It says Reuven ben on the right side, and then Yaakov is on the left side. And Yaakov is nothing; it's not him; it's his father, and that's why the left side is not kosher. The kosher Reuven ben Akama, the Yaakov Eid Abasa, says the Gemara. The Liskasher Hai the Reuven ben. So why can't this be kosher as Reuben ben? Well, it's kosher. Hi, be Yaakov Eid. Remember, if you write Yaakov Eid, it's also kosher. Let's say that's a signature. His signature, even though his name is Reuben, he signs with his father's name. That's how he signs.
This is what. So in other words, this
should be both be kosher
to
have two signatures. Reuben ben, same Eid. He's Reuben ben, and then and then the other one is Yaakov, and he's signing with his father's signature.
Sorry, so it's two. The first line has got two in each one.
The same thing, Reuben Yaakov and Shimon ben Levi, whatever it is. So why do you say the right side is kosher and the left? The Greeks are too far away from the get to count for the second side. Remember, there's two at top and two on the bottom. Two on the bottom are way too far. So that the left side we said is a apostle to get, and the right side is a kosher to get. We're asking let the left side be kosher even from the first two witnesses, because there it says the father's name, and you tell me that Ben's written on the right side. Fine, so they're both signing with the father's name. Didn't we learn? That not each pliny ate kosher. You can say that each plane also kosher. Just say Yaakov. The lekosher ate. Talking about, he didn't say the word ate. If you only write half a name, if you write the full name Reuben ben Yaakov, you don't have to add the word ate. If you write just Reuben or you write ben Yaakov or Yaakov, you have to write the word ate. And he didn't do that. That's why this left side is puzzle. Or he boys in loim the kosher ate. But we know that he's named. He's not Yaakov. We know that's Reuben. In fact, we know that this signature we can read. He wrote Reuben ben Yaakov. We can see it's exactly the same signature as Reuben. So it's not Yaakov signing; it's Reuben signing. So it's one name. How can you have two different people? Maybe he's signing the left spaghetti as well, using his father's name. He has two signatures. People have different signatures. He uses his own name and his father. So when it says we don't find that people will sign with the father's name. People generally sign with their own name. So maybe not so much as his father's name, he's doing it more as some people used to have like a stamp. And the stamp has nothing to do with their name. For example, we already had this before. The Rav Tzayer Kavra, Rav used to make a picture of a fish. What fish have to do with Rav? In Achrein, we try to find a relationship between each one of these signatures. Rav Chanina Charusa. Rav Chanina is a palm branch. Rav Chiza Samach is from his name. Rav Hoysha Ayin from his name. Rav Rabunda Tzayer Machusa. He used to use a mast of a boat. A person would not use his father's name as his simon. Why can't we say that the right should be kosher with the two Jewish Eidim, because they're right underneath each other, and then the two Greek Eidim should be the ones koshering the left? The Gemara says that now we learn get your kosher even kosher. Why is the left possible? You have two Greek Eidim who are signed, and the way they sign, their name is on the left side. You tell me, no, I could so far away. Their signatures are on the bottom. As long as you don't leave any gaps, it is kosher. So here you don't leave any gaps, and it doesn't matter. You can even put postal names as long as there's no gaps. So we know that this is real. And here you have two Eidim in between, two kosher Eidim between the Greek Eidim and the get itself. I just told you. You can even have relatives filling in the gaps. It's what we had before by make sure. If all you need is two Eidim, right. And you need to. We don't want any gaps in the get, because who knows what you exactly. We had it before by getting kosher. If you have more folds than Eidim, you can throw in anybody. Machlekes, Rabbi Kiva says only relatives. According to the rest, you can have Ganodim, anybody, just populate it. And here you have two kosher Eidim, two Ivrim Eidim between the Greeks and the thing. So the Yiddish name Shadim, he changes the gears and he learns, or he paskins the stack of kosher, the right side gets and the left side is kosher. But how come our Mishnah clearly says only the right side is kosher? Dilma, because we are worried. Gundel is chosim. That we are worried. How do you know that the Greeks they see the Hebrew signatures above? We now are confused. Are the Greeks signing their way? So when it says Yosef ben Shimon, are they saying that I'm signing a Greek, so therefore Shimon is the son? Or because the Edom above them signed Yosef ben Shimon and Yosef is the name of the son, maybe here they were unconventional and they decided to conform. We don't know which side they're signing on. It's a suffix. Maybe all four Edom now are signed on the right side of the get. That's why. Then Mishnah continues. Why do you say that the entire get is possible? Because you only have one on the right and one on the left, the Greek on the left and the on the right, and so on and so forth. That's not kosher. Taka learned that they are kosher. The time is done. Dilma Gundil is chasam, and the problem is we don't know what the Greeks are doing. We know. Remember the second Hebrew aid. Taka put his name on the left side, but the Greeks, we don't know what they're signing. Maybe one Greek is signing like the Hebrew guy, so therefore his name is on the right side. Maybe the other Greek is signing like the non-conventional way, the conventional way for Greeks, which is on the left side. So, which means the father's on the left side and his name is on the right side. So could be you have three Adim on the right side and only that Hebrew guy who put his name on the left side. Plus a chad hem chechad. No, we're saying in Hebrew.
Everybody's signing.
Yeah. Mishnah. Shaya mixes again because of Shane. Let's say here's one get. Forward on two different gittins, a single get that overlaps onto the other cloth. The Adim matter and the Adim are below. Kosher is kosher. The end of the second page, the end is kosher. What about Chosmu Adim Bereisha Daf? What about the Adim sign on top of the page? Oymin atzad on the side. Oyma achra on the back of the get. The get kosher. Normal get, where you need to get the Adim to sign inside the get. Possible, all these cases are possible because you don't know what else you can add, whatever we don't know. Maybe you'll add it tonight. He give What happens? He brought the top part of the beginning of the get is here, and then he took the top part of the second half of the get, turned it around, and brought them together, sewed them together here, and then he had the Adim sign. What happens then? So he gave it he brought the two tops together. The Adim Emser, and the Adim sign right between the two tops. Shneim Sulim, because the Adim is the sign at the bottom of the get, and here the Adim wrote sign at the top of it. You can have whatever you want. What about if the end of the half of the get, and you took the end of the other half of the get, and you turn them around, and now you stitch them together. And the Adim Emser, the Adim are in the middle, so either they're part of the top get or they're part of the bottom. The part of the half of the get that they're written on, that part is acceptable, and the other part is not because we have no Adim on it. What about Roisha Shalzeh B'tzat Sefer Shalzeh, the Adim Emser, the top of this one, and you took the end of the other one and you sew them together. So you read the bottom here, going down, you read the top of it, and then you want to know the end, you go to the top. Kosher. So the Adim, whichever end that they're signed with, that's kosher. Get your kosher, Ivrit V'Edivan, we just had it before. A get that was written in Hebrew and the Adim in Greek. Oh, Yavani, but they signed in different language. They signed different languages, is all kosher. Ksav Sefer, the aid, the Sefer wrote, and the aid kosher. We had a machlik before. Ksav Sefer means that he signed, or Ksav Sefer means the Sefer just wrote. Each plenty aid kosher. Now these are different ways of aid can sign. Either he writes his name, Aid, Reuben, Aid, or Ben Ish Pliny Aid, Ben Shimon Aid, or Ish Pliny, Ben Ish Pliny, but like Kasav Aid, full sentence. All of them are kosher. In fact, the Kacha, the Kid they used to do that. They used to write without the word Aid to be short. But I'm not sure how it's shorter because by adding Ben Ish, it's just as long. Anyway, Kasav Chani, Kasav, he wrote the nicknames, the Aidim, or they wrote their family names according to some. Kosher, it is kosher. If you have two different half gittin, how can you say that it's kosher? That you said if part of it is on one page and part is on another page, the balance. Maybe it was two whole gittin, and what he did was he cut the bottom of the get. He didn't like the tunaim there, whatever he had. He cut the bottom of this one. He took another get that happened to be written on the same document, and he took that other get and he cut off the top. So you don't see it as different, and it reads as if it's one get. And the Adim that signed on the left side actually were signing on a different get altogether. And he changed his mind about it tonight. So therefore, that's why he did this chachma. B'Yisrael is man de kama, the Adim the basar. He took the date of the first one and the Adim of the second one. The Gazil is man de basar. The top of the get was much higher. In other words, he took this other get that was much higher and he placed it next to this get over here. And the Adim de kama. And so he cut that part off, he cut the bottom of it off, and now reads like one get, but in fact it's two. There's plenty of space in the bottom, and therefore it's clear that he didn't cut anything out. And could we still have parchment there? You think about maybe cut out the bottom from trying, but there's parchment there and it's blank. Nobody writes a get with these big blank gaps. So there's no shash. The dim was man the basa megas gazia. Okay, so maybe the lawn on the left was much higher up, and you cut all that over the date. There's space. We see that there's parchment above the get on the left side. So obviously, nothing else is written there. But maybe he it's one get, but he wrote in the middle, and then he changed his mind, and then and now he's just continuing. And therefore, once you change your mind, you can no longer use that part of the get that you change your mind. You have to start again. You start again. What it says, because the cost of Harei Atma Mata, the one sentence Harei Atma tells L'Chol, it was the last two words of the page on the right side. The first words on the left side says Muter L'Chol, and therefore it's clear that it's one sentence. You don't normally change your mind in the middle of that sentence. Maybe that's what happened. Maybe he did change his mind. He stopped at the word Muteris. You could tell from the get they used to embroider a get. They used to put the little precious stones around the get or little nice things, so we can see clearly that they didn't tamper with the get at all. It's all one get. So we'll continue tomorrow.